Good morning, everybody. This is Nate from the Kraemer Life. Today, I have a little special episode. I am over at a new friend's house. His name is Mr. Wayne. He is a viewer of our channel and reached out a couple months ago to offer some help trying to find some land for us. So I'm over at his place today, checking things out. We're gonna possibly operate the sawmill, and he's gonna take me around and show me a couple areas in the neighborhood that he thinks might be good candidates for some land. Let's get this water packed up and then we'll introduce you.
I got the hat on that makes me look like a world traveler, Costa Rica.
So what is the water for?
Keeping the blade cool and also resin off of it.
Okay, I was gonna say, because it doesn't look like drinking water.
Oh no, it's not.
Well, let's do proper introductions. This is the first time our channel has met you. So this is Mr. Wayne. He was or is a viewer of ours and now a friend of ours. And you reached out to us a couple months ago, offering some suggestions and some help in finding land and where to look around North Carolina. And since then, you and I have had a lot of conversations. I've been here. This is now my second time. And
I just have an intense interest in what the new homesteaders are doing.
Sure.
I have farmed basically here my way, old traditional way, single row, because I had plenty of land, didn't need to use, beds like they're using today.
Yeah.
However, the methods I want to use those methods here.
Uh-huh.
I'm just looking for a young couple that wants to help me, and in turn, I want to help them. So
yeah, exactly.
It'd be nice to have somebody located close by. Because I've been watching Nate's channel, I have a real good feeling of what he's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves mountain streams, and we have plenty of them here. And that's some of the things I'm going to be introducing him to,
Yep.
the possibilities.
Right. Yep.
And so,
yeah. And then there's other opportunities for me to help out on his farm, help him plant gardens, build chicken tractors, haul things, whatever,
yeah,
whatever he needs. So
yeah, things just like Joel Salatin says, if it's not your property, be portable. Is that his word?
Yep.
Do portable things that you can move to your property when you buy it.
Sure.
And sometimes you have to kind of be patient for the right thing to come along and happen for you. I tell him it takes a courage for a young guy like him to connect and associate with an old guy like me. But
he's a nice old guy. There's no courage necessary here.
The part that we're installing, it's the only part that is not warranted.
Of course.
Because it's an operational.
Well, if it was warranted, it would just go out after the warranty anyway.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works.
This thing is so old. That's what's supposed to put us back into action.
Yep.
And then we want to be very careful that we are not put right back out of action by making the wrong move.
That's true.
It's variable speeds, and you start out slow, and then you increase the speed according to the width of your cut and what you're cutting. And I have done it so much I go by ear.
Yep.
And the sound of the motor, and a lot of different things.
Is it similar to when you're driving stick in a car and you can just hear by the rev of the engine when you should shift? You kind of get used to that sound and that feel.
I guess that would be as close an explanation as I could give.
Okay.
It's just all part of
Yep. You just kind of feel it.
The sound and all.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the other end, rather than come back slowly the way you traveled, you just flip this thing up. Of course, you have to elevate your blade just a fraction. You get rid of the board you just cut.
Yep.
Elevate your blade just a fraction.
So you have no friction.
So you don't hit it.
Yep.
And then flip this up.
Okay.
And of course, you've already got it ready to come back. And then you just hit this lever here, and it brings you back. And then when you get back here, I keep my hand on this. When you get back here, that's the way you stop it. You don't let it slam into this, and that's also the way you keep from doing the thing that will damage it again, because if you try to go forward with this up and in reverse, that's the note that I've got right there on that page that says it will burn this thing out again.
Oh. This is forward and reverse.
Yeah.
And then this is just engaging
and so other belts down
the belts.
here.
Okay.
That will make it travel faster.
Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Whenever you're coming back. In other words, when you put it in reverse, you've got to walk briskly to stay ahead of it. And of course, that saves you a lot of time. You know, you don't want to be getting back here. If it's a 16-foot long board you're cutting. So
I see.
And that's basically that part.
So are you walking with it as it's cutting?
Right.
Does this come with it as it's cutting, or is this
this whole thing? See these? You've got
the tracks.
Yeah. See this track right here,
I do.
And then there's some bearings there.
Yep.
There's also some counter bearings underneath. This thing's cantilevered. This is the way they chose to build this machine, and so. And so it drives itself. All I do, I'll keep my hand on this rheostat all the time, and also
that's
pretty
what
close
goes
pretty close to here, or maybe up here. All of my stuff is so automatic that you have to just watch me operate it to see what I do, what my moves are.
And what does this handle do up here do?
This puts it into gear.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
The drive belts. It comes up and hits the drive belts. 2 drive belts here, and it puts it into gear. Then when you drop it down, there's a brake in there that stops it immediately.
And during this whole time, even if it's not engaged here and it's not moving forward, the saw blade is moving?
No.
It is not. Okay.
No. Right now it's not moving. The only way it can move right here,
is when you engage it. I got you. It does tighten up there. Yep. Okay. All right.
Right now there's tension loose.
Yep.
See, there's a spring over there, and I loosen the tension so that spring doesn't lose its gets weaker. Because it takes a certain tension on it, and then also there's a mechanism over there that helps you adjust the tracking of it. You want the tracking to be these guide blades or guide rollers here to be basically in the middle of it, with a little bit of hanging over the front, back and front. But that's it. And of course,
it seems complicated having not seen it done, but I'm sure once you do it a few times, it kind of becomes
these people
in
Indianapolis, Indiana, and of course now they've got an upgraded one. That this particular model, I paid around $8,000 for it in 1986, and this one now will go for about $30,000, but it's got a lot of upgrades to it.
Yeah.
A bigger engine. The engine's about 26 horse instead of the 16 that I have. So, but they built this thing well, and it has lasted. I mean, it's lasted a long time.
Yeah.
You can see how. Here's one of the wears on it that I have to sort of adjust for in the lumber. The rollers that come down through here have depressed this. It makes it sit down just a tad lower. So I cut. If I'm really...
Yeah, you can see it was rounded at one point, right?
Yeah, completely rounded.
Yeah, and now there's grooves in it, or flat spots.
If dimensions is important to me, I cut it oversized by an eighth, or depends on what I'm sawing.
Yeah.
But these guys they're building a shed up there. And the first thing they brought down here was locust, and that's very hard stuff to cut. And
hard because it's a hard wood, or hard because
hardwood. Okay. It is hard. It depends on how wide you're trying to cut and so forth. But it's just hard.
So you go slow with that and change your blades often. Is that what?
You know, not real. They've done most of it with 2 blades. I
Okay.
had 1 blade on here that was cutting really well, and they started out with it. And then I order like 15 blades at a time, but I don't start using all of them. But I had started using about 6 of them, so I went up there and got blade number 7, brand new, and that's what's on there right now.
Okay.
It's never been resharpened. And pretty soon I'm going to, have them take it off. And because if I take it off soon enough, all I have to do is sharpen it and just touch it. It'll be a real easy sharpening.
Sure. That makes sense.
Because it's not going to be all that dull. So I'll just be able to touch the tip and make it easy.
Okay.
See those things over there? That's pickled hay. And I heard Ben just the other day complaining to high heaven that he didn't have enough stuff to make compost out of.
I see. Okay.
And you and I need to load up our trucks and take him 2 rolls of those things.
I'm sure he would take them.
And that'll put him in business.
I'll take a picture and
He's probably
send him
would
some
be
stuff.
interested in this. You know what he's doing?
I see what he's doing.
Chainsawing.
He's doing a great job with that. I don't know how accurate he is, but for what he's working with,
Yeah, it's accurate enough.
I saw the his kitchen shelves.
Yeah.
I saw those,
Yeah.
and they turned out real nice.
Yeah.
Turned out real nice. So
There's another phenomenon in this lumber stuff, are these tabletops, by the way. They call them, what does it call them? The edge? Live edge.
yeah,
Tabletop. You can turn a log that would bring you maybe hundreds in framing lumber into thousands in tabletops.
that's correct.
It's just amazing that.
Yeah.
And that's just a new phenomenon
Yeah.
with this new process they have. And you can marble them. They would look, the surface is really tough, just
Yeah,
tough
you just
as
put
marble.
you just put epoxy on it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
that. I did that with some old 2x6 cedar boards from an old deck we had in Portland.
Yeah.
That we took out, and I made 2 tables with them, and just put one of the tables. I didn't do epoxy, but I put epoxy on the other one, and turned out great. Turned out really nice.
This started out as a full row. And I stripped the plastic off of it. And
So this was one. This was one of those.
right,
Okay.
Yeah. So all of this in here could be mixed in with this over here and tossed. That's where we need like a front end loader when you're composting with this heavy of stuff. That way you can use it to do your piling and stuff. But my tractor doesn't have that. I've got forks that are on the back that you have to back up. It's awkward to use, but
Is this your first attempt at composting, or have you composted
oh no,
many things before?
I have composted. Well, let's just since we're talking composting, let's go in up here. I've been composting a long time because I've been trying myself. I learned about the value of that long before all you new guys came in and started
Yeah.
raising. But most
You're
everybody
an
buys
origin-
their compost.
You're an original homesteader, is what you're saying.
Well, basically, I am.
That's good.
This is Modoc, we call it, but you'll
Yeah.
see it
That is a thick root.
well
And you say it goes deep, right?
deep. Yeah. I don't know if my shovel's here. It's on the truck. I've got one of those plumber's shovels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's sticking down there. It's the plumber.
Yep, I see
it's
it.
a foot long itself, and I was using it, and I couldn't get to the bottoms, to the tips of these things. And it's because this soil, topsoil, is a foot deep.
Wow.
So, but that's an example of what happens in it. And here's one big old root that I cut off. That
And so if you don't get the entire root, it'll come back.
it does, right. In fact, the reason these are so deep is because they've been here about 3 years growing. I just haven't, with the weather, with the way it's been, haven't been able to cover all the territory I've got. And you can
Sure.
see them out there. That's
Yep.
what's
That's quite a bit.
pushing up under that plastic over there.
Oh,
And so what I'm going to have to do there, I'm going to mow them all down, and then I'll use my disc to go through and break up the top so that when I put turning plows on, it will turn them upside down. And then after that, anything that comes up, it will be easy to pluck out and gradually get rid of, especially, using the methods, newer methods will make a difference.
Yeah.
Up here's where I've been composting. Well, it started, I've got the trout pond over there.
Yep.
And I had trout in it. And I have eaten trout that have been grown in ponds, fed the, trout chow. And they're not as good. You see, I go backpacking a lot. And native trout are they're a whole different fish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't find a trout like that in New York's finest restaurant. You have to go out and catch them in the wild. Mm-hmm. And the wild food is what gives them their flavor and taste.
Yep.
And so these were worm bins. And we had 2 dairies in the county, and I would go with a little old dump truck I had and get a whole dump truckload full of manure from them. And I had these all set up, in just a certain way where I could feed them that manure. Mm-hmm. And I could also harvest them. Earthworms don't like sunlight.
Right.
And so you got a table where you can, put them all up on the table and they start raking off the top. They keep going down and down to where they can't go down any further.
Yep.
And I have harvested 2 buckets full of just earthworms.
Yep.
Cleaned off.
Wow.
And I would go feed them to my trout.
Wow.
But this is where I compost the leaves from my yard mainly. I have lots of leaves up there, and I convert these into veggies, the leaves. And here's some of the compost right here.
Yep.
That I shoveled from over here over to here to keep just to make room for the additional new leaves over there. If the leaves in my garden, I've got those pine trees up there, and at a certain time of year, the pine trees really shed a lot of needles.
Yep.
And if there's a lot of it in there, I bring it down here and try to start composting that, and that's what goes around the blueberries. They like that acid.
Oh, okay.
And that's the best way to feed the blueberry.
Nice.
Right about in this area right here, we had 5,000 tomato plants.
5,000?
5,000 tomato plants.
What did you do with the harvest?
Back then, there were, what did you call them? Co-ops.
Yeah.
Tomato co-ops. And tomatoes were a way for the people in our mountain section that were fairly poor people to make some money in the summertime. Mm. It was raising tomatoes. On an acre of tomatoes back then, mm-hmm. you could market $10,000 worth of tomatoes.
Really?
Out of 1 acre.
Wow.
And of course, I went with my local extension agent and got all the information from, state, North Carolina state, and went by the book. Mm-hmm. And we did. We had tons of tomatoes. Those pictures might have shown it. One harvest that we were.
Wow.
I had a 1-ton dump truck, and when we had to use a special kind of box, mm-hmm. about a 20-pound box, to carry them over there, not mm-hmm. squish them, mm-hmm. take them over. You had to pick them when you saw pink on the blossom end. Okay. Because these tomatoes ended up in New York. And over at the co-op, there would be a few refrigeration 18-wheelers there, refrigeration trucks lined up to take those. They would run down where they graded them, mm-hmm. and those that made the grade got boxed immediately and put on that truck to go to New York. Wow. And they had to have some shelf life.
Yeah, yeah.
But when a tomato starts getting, it ripens from the inside out. Okay. And when they have that little pink spot on the bottom, when they got to New York, they were ripening. But they had to have some shelf life. Of course, I like my own tomato sandwiches. They got to be vine ripe and perfectly ripe.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds delicious.
You need both hands picking blueberries, so I have a way of tying me a bucket right here so that I can use both hands and dump them, both hands and dump them. So I've got a step ladder that I probably will come down here because, you know, to get up higher. We put out canes, and my plan is to have a couple more rows out here. Cut your canes back. You can see I've got them cleared back to a certain point, and, and these I just didn't get to, and they got so big. And I had offered some of these real large ones to some, you know, some other homesteaders that we've been in contact with. And right now they might be hard to transplant. You really have to dig a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought next time my guy's here with his track hoe, I might have him take the track hoe and just
scoop it up,
pick them up. Mm-hmm. But all of this needs to be cut out. And whenever I let them get to this point, and they're putting on so many buds and so many berries, it's hard for me to go down there and cut them out because I see that they're going to produce so many berries.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Wayne. Well, thank you for taking me along a ride, showing me the county. It's a gorgeous county, definitely. Showing me a couple sites that may work out, and then also the tour of your place. It was fun. But I definitely need to come back and help you with a lot of these projects because you have a lot of things you could use help on.
Well, I hope it also feeds back in your direction too.
Sure. Oh yeah. There's always learning opportunity. Yeah. So, all right, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.
Get me in the boat to see. You have one of those instant pots?
We do have an instant pot.
This very little time on them.
That's a bounty right there.
That'll feed you for a few days.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much.